Well, hi everyone. Lovely to have you with me. I've got a bit of a special video here, which I've put together just from this last weekend, because I was very fortunate to celebrate my 72nd birthday, and the family took me down to Sussex Inlet, which is a lovely spot just south of Jervis Bay. And we went down there, as I said, to celebrate my birthday, and we had a wonderful time. So I thought I'd made a bit of a video for you. A bit of history on the Sussex Inlet. It is interesting. Uh, by the way, this is a lovely spot showing the. Sorry to jump around a bit, but this caravan park where we stayed, we're actually in the cottage there, which I'll show you a little bit later on. But to go back to the history of Sussex Inlet, the first Europeans to walk there were survivors of the wreck from the Sydney Cove in 1797. And it wasn't until 1827 that the surveyor Thomas Florence travelled down to the St George Basin and actually mapped Sussex Inlet, which thank goodness he did. It is really nice, as you can see. We're going up. There on the left is the RSL Club, and we stayed just opposite there. If you can see a cottage with a green roof right directly opposite, that's where we stayed, and it was really lovely. Now, to carry on with the history of Sussex Inlet, in the 1840s, two brothers, Richard and John Glanville, with their families, took a land grant at Berrara, which actually is at the end of this video. It's showing a lovely beach. Now, Berrara is just south of the Sussex Inlet, and they began clearing the land to encourage other settlers into the area. It was located on a staging route which ran between Ulladulla and Nowra. Fertile land and excellent fishing would soon bring dairy farmers and timber cutters to the area in the 1860s. Sussex Inlet also has a Danish connection. I find this very interesting, all thanks to an intrepid and very adventurous Danish seaman called Jacob Elmoes. In 1878, Jacob was 15 years old when he arrived in Port Adelaide, South Australia, and decided to travel north. He walked over 1,000 miles, which is about 1,800 kilometres, and eventually established himself at the South Head signal station near Watson's Bay in Sydney, which was then just a fishing village. Acquiring a seaworthy boat, he sailed south, fishing the coastal waters, and finally made his base at Cape St George Lighthouse on the southern headland of Jervis Bay. On a fishing trip in November 1880, he crossed the bar at the entrance of Sussex Inlet, and thus began the Elmoes family association with Sussex Inlet. Then he found a rich fishing grounds and unspoiled beauty, and soon sought and was granted a selection of 1,200 acres of land on the northern bank of the inlet. So began the story of Sussex Inlet, originally named Sussex Haven by Captain Cook on his epic journey of discovery. And each year on the June long weekend in Sussex Inlet, they celebrate the Danish heritage with the Viking Festival. I find that quite interesting. Now, I'm sorry for being a little bit repetitious on the videos, but there you can see the inlet going up to the Sussex Inlet there behind. And it is really lovely. We had a fantastic weekend. Now I got spoilt, and going around again. Here we are. That's just a little photo of the Sussex Inlet and the fishing. Now this is a little short section showing the wharf where we actually did a bit of night fishing. And I saw a fella catch some beautiful fish there, a lovely big trevally, He actually offered us half of it to have breakfast the next day, but he was going back to Sydney the next day, and so were we. But we said no, no thanks. Anyway, here we're closing in. Oh, that's the bank. Just on the right there is a lovely restaurant where we went to. Here's a beautiful beach at Berrara. I mentioned Berrara a little bit before. Now this is a glorious beach. I was interested in the rocks there. They always seem to be like building blocks. I'd be fascinated to learn how they were formed. And there are actually fossils in there as well, which obviously are very old. But it was like building blocks with cracks in between them. Fascinating geology. You can see a direct one there in the shallows there. I think we go up in a moment. Have a look at the beach, the other side of that little headland there, which is absolutely glorious. It was a lovely day, luckily. But unfortunately, at this point, I got a warning on my tablet saying low battery charge, only 10%. And so I had to spin around very quickly and bring the drone in, because with a low battery, it just lands and it goes directly down. I didn't want it to go directly down into the ocean because I couldn't pick it up from there. It's a beautiful beach. I'd love to have brought you more, but I'm afraid I couldn't. So cheerio, bye.